I'm going to not repot, I'm going to pot up these pieces of cactus and some cuttings from one of my succulents, whose name I'll find out. But like like I do, I forgot to actually video me taking these off. So I'm going to take some cuttings off a miniature jade tree to show you how to do it. So you want to look for little elongated pieces like this, nice and healthy, and I will cut it from probably about to here, to the top of another leaf node. So because of my terrible setup, I'm using my phone, so I have to use one hand. There we go. One cutting. I've done, oh, come here you, two more. So there we go. So there's two little cuttings. Oh, one, two, three. Now I like to leave, these are quite long, so I'll probably take all but the top 4 leaves on and maybe cut it up to another, or the other node. There we go. Now I've carefully removed the leaves by gently twisting. I'm not even going to attempt to do that one-handed. And then I cut this piece off, it's rolling around, and I cut it off below a leaf node. So I cut it off this side of the leaf node as opposed to that side of the leaf node, because the leaf node is where you get new growth from, and where the roots grow from once you repot them. Now I've took cuttings from my little miniature jade tree here because I actually wanted to cut back some of the longer pieces because it was getting a bit long, so I just wanted to trim it back so it's a little bit more compact. So the ones that were sticking out at random places I've cut back, so now it'll hopefully bush out a bit more. But that enabled me to show you how to do this. Now you leave them for a couple of days to allow this end of the node to callus, and what that means is it basically dries out. So as you can see, this end's shriveled up and dried out, and that will help it to not rot, because if you put fresh cuttings into soil or the potting compost for these, which is very well drained, it will still got a good chance of rotting. So that's how I did that. Well, because my potting shed is quite dark, I've decided to come and show you how to do this in my greenhouse, which means I've tidied up the greenhouse. I mean, that in of itself means I've just emptied everything from the greenhouse into my potting shed, which now also needs tidying up, but hey ho. Gloves. Important, these. Big, thick leather gloves for holding onto the cactus. Right. Okay, so my potting mixture here is 50% potting compost and 15% sand, and then a couple of handfuls of vermiculite or perlite. I think I put a bit more sand in there than normal, but it does look very sandy. But I've also moistened this a little. It's not soaking wet, as you can see, it still falls apart, but it was very dry because I'd left it in the greenhouse. So I've already done 4 of these, filled up these tiny 2-inch pots with comp mix, but I haven't patted it down. I want it still to be loose so that we can take our little cutting and we can literally just push it in very gently, and there we are. So as you can see, just push it in very gently, and that's those done. What are you doing? Good grief. I have to go and fetch her out from behind there. I've also got a helper, haven't I? Yes, you lay down, lay down. So with these, first things first, I'm going to put a glove on. Find the right glove. Back in a bit. Glove. Right, I'll take this one. Come on, you. Come on, come on, get off. Right, this, like you saw in the other plant, you want to put it in, so it's about There we go. Oops, sorry, sweetheart. Half buried. There. So, there you go. Put that in there. And then get off. The same. Oops. Same with the other one. This is why you don't really want to push them down to push the pots, firm the pots up. So there we go. So it's just standing nicely. And then with the other ones, yeah, oh, come back. With this one, oh, come here. Where are you? Come here. Come here. Oh, that one. Literally. Yeah. Come on, Dinky. Right, just literally want to rest that in the soil. There we go. And then the same with these. You just put in, give them a little twist. There we go. And all of this is done really gently, and then the last one's tiny, 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 tiny. In you go. Go on. There. Now I've put some bigger pots. You're going to get yourself spiked, because the last two I have are quite substantial, so I want to give them some support again. There we go. Oops, sticks to my hand rather than the soil. There. There. If the big one falls over, then I'm going to support it with a couple of sticks. And there we go. So that's simple as that. Cool. Well, they survived their walk up the garden, and here they are inside their little nursery chamber. Now, this is a new one I've bought from IKEA recently, and this is the old one I've had from IKEA for a long time. But I will water them in a couple of days, and that will only be maybe with a squirt of water or a little dribble of water, just to keep that potting compost a little moist. And then they'll be, once they've rooted, they'll be watered as the other ones. There we go. And as for the succulents, they'll join the others. And these are some of the rooted tip cuttings I've taken of some of my others. This is called panda plant because of its lovely brown tips. This is moonstone. Oops, good grief. This is one from out the garden. I've got some alpine type succulents in the garden, sedums and the like. And this one had been pulled up by a bird or something, so I've stuck it in there. Oops, sorry, sweetheart, and it's rooted. So again, this will sit on the shelf with the others for a while, and then when they get watered, it'll get watered. Hope this has helped. It's given me the oomph to get and done it. Thank you very much. See you soon.